All right. So there's a couple of key and fundamental principles that there's about 50 or 60 principles we work on with companies one-to-one. What we've done is we've taken, I'm going to go over a couple of the ones that are the most foundational ones that we work with as we're building companies. Like if I work with companies like Lululemon or Garlic or these other companies that we've done with, we do work with Joey Tomatoes, all these other things. What are some of the most critical, the most foundational ones that I can get across, in this period of time? Then I'll pick a couple of them. One of the, let me just think for a second here. All right. Just as an overall one, I'm not going to get it in too deeply, but you should be clear about this thing, which is nothing works. That's the first principle we teach everybody. Whatever approach to management or marketing or sales or whatever you say works, I'll show you somebody who failed with it. Is that clear? Anything you say can't work, I could probably find somebody who succeeded with it. This is to actually get you out of your own expertise in the world of being informed by other experts. I was actually sitting there when I did this retreat with the guys at Joey's. You guys know Joey's here locally too, right? Very successful. So it was Jeff Fuller, 20 of his executives, super high-powered performance in restaurant. They won all these awards, and they know what works. So they couldn't understand this concept. So I had to make a list. After 20 of them, I had each one of them say one item, which is an absolute truth of the restaurant world that you have to do in order to be successful. They said, okay, you've got to change the menu every so often. You have to have service like this, an environment like this, all these things. And then when we got 20, we went around the room and I had everybody give me an exception. Number one, give me an exception. People, and they've never changed the menu and they're really successful. And almost everybody could give me an exception. You get that? And by the time we got through the whole list, I realized, wow, none of that's the truth. It's not a fact. The other side of nothing works is anything can work if you work it. I'm not saying don't have a strategy or an approach, but understand that you're not limited by it. It's not the truth. It's just, okay, that's the way we're going to decide to do it. The moment you turn into truth, you're limited. One of my favorite ones is when they came up to this one, okay, but you've got to have good service. That's obviously a truth, right? And one of the favorite exceptions to that was the Elbow Room, if anybody knows it around here. Right, so for those who don't, the Elbow Room is this great restaurant cafe restaurant in Vancouver, which I discovered since I've done this work. There's more around the continent, and basically, in the world of nothing works, but anything can work if you work it. If you don't get really bad service and a lot of abuse when you're there, you feel chipped. Right? Like, it's like sucks. If you just go and have like an ordinary experience there, you go, where's my abuse? What did I line up for brunch for? Right? So in the world of anything can work if you work it, what they work is exceptionally bad service. And if it's not bad enough, it's not good enough. Say, did everybody get that? Anything can work. So first of all, you really want to have a clean slate. Really get you don't know anything, and anything is really and clearly possible. Now, I'm going to go over I'll share with you one principle, which is a principle that of all of the things that we do with companies is the single most impactful, both in quantitative, like numerical results, and qualitative, people's experience of life inside of that organization. Okay? All right, very good. So, mostly what people are at work on is in getting the most out of life. We get the most out of life. That's why we're doing what we're doing, to get the most out of life. And if we get the most out of life, then we will be the most fulfilled. So, we say that's not going to lead you to the most fulfilled. We say getting the most out of life is the world of consuming. It's the world of gratification. It's the world of relief, distraction, and reaction. That's the world of consuming. Somewhere between 95 to 100% of your adult life, we're going to suggest, is in the world of consuming. The alternative to that is the world of creating. And that's the world of satisfaction, joy, expression, and freedom. It's a world of just really passion. So let me talk about when I first started working with Chip, he'd gotten off the ground, and stores were running, and they, kind of validated the brand, and good. But he's kind of leveled up. And we find this in every company other than startups. You're totally jazzed at the beginning, your startup, and you're kicking ass, and it's awesome, and then something happens at some point, and it kind of goes flat. Company can even be still kind of growing, but your experience is flat. Well, either you got really successful and started making all this money and started spending it, just going after the goodies and just after gratification, and you stopped creating. Or you got really busy, you got overwhelmed, you started reacting or just looking for relief, and you stopped creating. I'm not even saying don't get busy. I'm not saying don't spend money on goodies. I'm saying, like, if you stop creating, then that graft and the juice will go out of the company, out of your project. And what we realized, he set something to create something, which is to build that, create that world, did that, and then it was done, validated, and the next game hadn't been created. To get the principle grounded, let me go to 3 or 4 different examples of it so you can see it in every aspect of living. So there's business. Let's go to the farthest end of the personal world, right? So one thing you got to understand is that whatever you call the honeymoon experience in a relationship or that fresh experience, the newness when you're in a new project or a new job or a new city, that experience of living never has to go away. So I want you to get that experience of living never has to go away. Let me describe how and why. When you're first in a relationship, when you're madly in love with somebody, you're like kind of goo-goo-eyed and you can't control yourself, and your friends hate you because you're so annoying. That I get. So it's all. So I interview people. They go, "Oh, it's so magical." I go, "Why is it magical?" Sometimes they can answer, sometimes they can't. So, well, when did it start being magical? When this person came in my life, and they go, "That person, the reason why it's so magical." I said, "Well, that can't be." And they go, "Oh my God." I said, "Well, do you ever notice a person is still there when it's not magical anymore?" Do they run out? Do they have a shelf life? Do they have a best before date stamped on their foot? What is the deal with that magic? Here's what we can demonstrate. We can demonstrate that it was magical as long as you were creating. Creating is bringing into existence that which doesn't exist. That's the world of creating. I remember sitting in the backyard with some friends in the university, flat broke, with bouncing back and forth ideas for business. When you start to riff off each other and it gets really juicy? The highest level of consuming will never be as juicy as the lowest level of creating, when you're making stuff up, when you're right in the zone, creating new things. So, creating. When you're in this relationship, and the relationship is an opportunity for you to create. There's getting up in the morning and just responding to what life throws at you. But when you're madly in love, you're not just dealing with what life throws at you, you're actively thinking about what else you can do. Is that clear? You're actively thinking, what else can you create? When you're a startup, you have to be doing that, because nothing exists. It's not maintaining anything. You have to create, otherwise it ceases to exist. When you're in this relationship, you're going, wow, how can I make this person happy? What can I buy them? Where can I take them? Right? You're creating. You're not just waking up and dealing with the drift of life. You're actively trying to make something happen that otherwise wasn't going to happen. That makes you awake and alive. Is that clear? You bring that energy to your company or whatever you're working on all the time, things will be spectacular. But we all are lazy. We want to go back in the drift of what's comfortable. The difference is, if you're a skier, why you get bored skiing a green run if you're an expert skier is because it doesn't call you to create, doesn't call you to be awake. You can do it on automatic. You like to ski at the edge of your ability because it causes you to be present, yes? And awake and creating your response to what's coming at you. So this is it as a foundation of life. When you go away to, with a bunch of friends, to a ski chalet or a beach house, you have the best time ever. It was so crazy ridiculous. So next year somebody tries to make sure you go to the same place in the same week with the same people. And you'll go up there again and it's like, it's not quite the same, right? Because if you show up to consume versus to create it again, it's going to be flat. You show up in a new city, and it's fresh at the beginning, and it takes you weeks or months to create a relationship with that city, because you don't have one. So what you do is you create a body of knowledge. And after you've created a body of knowledge, you start to consume it, and you stop creating. And then suddenly, it's flat. You drive home, 20 minutes, same route every day, you don't even remember the drive. Right? That's what it is to be unconscious, not present, not awake. I literally make the CEOs like do this exercise often, and it's like, okay, you have to drive home a different way from work every single day. And they hate it. They're so annoying. After 3 or 4 days, they'll call me up and go, this is amazing. It's so cool. I never knew what was in my neighborhood. You're like, you have to be awake. You can't be an automatic to go a different way. So it's like, you know what? It's like, wake the hell up. Jim, realize it won't matter how much money you make if you're not awake. What you make will be irrelevant if you're not awake to enjoy it. So the funny thing is, when you're awake, you also make a lot more. And it's not about how much can I make so that later I can be awake and enjoy it. That's a crazy shit, man. You ever realize how crazy it is to really, 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 really look forward to your vacation? Do you have any idea how insane that is? Because what does that tell you about the other 48 weeks of the year? So one of our premises is, you build a business to serve your life, and very quickly your life is serving your business. And then you're 60. Or whatever, right? So, I don't care how successful your business is and what you would call successful, if your life isn't fabulous. Don't give a damn at all. It's so easy for us to do numbers, it's stupid. I can show you 40 different ways to produce whatever numbers you want. Who cares? You're really going to get that. Well, you don't have to, but you have whatever life you have, right? What's going to be your priority? How much you enjoy life or how much money you make? You're going to go like in your deathbed, damn, I wish I enjoyed life a little less. Yeah. Wish I died with a bigger bank balance, but had less fun. I promise you, you'd rather die in debt having had a great time still alive. So, but this is in every aspect of life, and what we do now. This list we tell our clients every day. Have creativity alive in the company. Every week, have creative sessions. Spend all of Monday, at least half of Monday, where you're just brainstorming, just doing creative work. They're resistant, but you know, if you really did powerful creative work and brainstorming every Monday, if you did all day Monday, what you'd produce in the next 4 days is way more than if you did all 5 days just reacting to what life is throwing at you. And it's not just us. I mean, Google, they tell people their employees 20% of their time has to be spent, you know, coming up with new ideas, brainstorming, coming up with new offerings, things like that. Because to stay on the edge and to be awake and alive and to be in high performance is to be in a creative state. So there's actually spending time creating and also creating a creative atmosphere. Let me share with you one of the silliest and most absurd examples of that, just to really make the point and get how simple it can be. So one thing is we actually have people do is to create time every week where you're doing thoughtful, creative work, you know, integrative work, all of that stuff. But we say don't do that just once a week, but you also have an environment which is causing you to be awake, alive, and creative. So it doesn't matter what you're creating, it matters that you are creating. There's an example. I went with this company with an office, like 7 people in the office, and we made up this game in which every week one person has to pick a TV show, and everybody has to work in character during one member of that TV show for the week. Okay? It's very, very silly. Now, put sales up like 50% easily. How? Well, you know, if you're like, okay, this week, you're like, okay, Gilligan's Island, whatever it is, right? So it actually takes something. You know, you can't automatically be Gilligan. Is that good? You have to create that, right? You have to be awake. You have to do something. Who cares how silly it is? Now, here's how it works, guys. You may do it, you may remember, you may forget. If you forget, your coworker reminds you, you have to do it like this, right? You do that, you have a laugh. It raises the energy of the whole place. Is that clear? Automatically, consuming, you can just be yourself. To be in a character, you have to be awake. It's like finding a new way home. And if somebody just reminds you, you got to do that, and you have a laugh, and the phone rings, and it's a possible customer, and you get on that phone in a very lighthearted, laughing, happy energy, That's all you did every day. Your salesman call up. Is that clear? Suddenly you're talking to this potential customer, not, completely happy, not needing, not desperate for their sale in order to be happy. You know, like you're there, you're present, you're alive, you're happy. So the whole thing, it's not just about getting, where are you spending your day if all you want to do is get through the day to the end? And who wants to do business with somebody that all they can want to do is get out of there? And of course, I'm going to the extreme, but you get what I'm saying, right? If all other things being equal, make it more fun to do business with you than anyone else. So one of the things is, when I first did this work with Chip, he wanted to jump up and run and go create some more stuff because he realized they'd fulfilled what they'd created. And I said, no, you don't just create. I said, Chip, you have to create an environment where creating is always happening. So the principle, he made up this principle for the company, which is creating, which is his version of creating an environment, right, where creating is always demanded of. So if you just learn this and you don't change your environment and your architecture at all, it won't make a lot of difference. If you don't go back and say, okay, I'm going to make some changes in the architecture, I'm going to schedule time where creative work is done. And then that's actually making the change, architecturally, environmentally, that demands that creating is always happening. That will make an impact. If you did nothing else other than do that out of this conversation, it'll make an incredible and a massive difference in what you do. But it won't work like in the world nothing works. It doesn't work either. You have to work it. You got to do it regularly. You got to do it every week. And sometimes you'll get like stuck in jams. Sometimes you'll come up with brilliant things. But you know, people who made the car you drive or this market, they didn't just like throw stuff together. They were willing to try stuff, fail with stuff, try again. Is that clear? You would not tolerate buying anything that was designed with the amount of thinking that you run your business. Should get clear about that. It just wouldn't, because it wouldn't function consistently enough. So design your business as thoughtfully and as well as you would like the things you buy to be designed. You buy things and you want them to work really well, so you would want them to be really thoughtfully designed. So design your business the same way, because then it'll work as well as the things that you buy. You want them to work well. And that requires this. It's about having it functional really well, and it's about having it be fun as hell. Because if it's not fun, why the hell are you doing it? That doesn't fall in the you don't know anything when you're full of shit category. That just calls you're the idiot category. We have that in our workshop, the idiot clause, which is people are like who are struggling and suffering and this and that and having unhappy for their business. They go, whose business is it? Yours, okay? And who goes to it every day? You do, okay? Good. Who keeps it? Oh, you do. Oh, that's like watching a TV channel that you don't like and complaining. See that? So either find a way to start to create some real enjoyment and joy with your business, even if it needs some change. Enjoy the change. Or go do something else. Start a different business, or go get a job. Right? But life doesn't have... I mean, it's just... What's the point if you're not going to really have a great time? Yeah? I'm willing for somebody to answer that, but I haven't gotten a good one yet. All right. So this is, does that make sense, everybody? Yeah. There's depth to it, there's thinking to do, but you can apply that in all aspects of your life. For those of you who have kids, just watch them, right? Watch them create. One of my favorite things in the world is actually 2 4-year-olds talking with each other. You ever watch that? And they're like going here and there, and making stuff up. When you're a kid, see, you have this capacity, because up until a certain age, that's all you did. Is that clear? Then you were burdened by knowledge. And then that just messed everything up. Right? So, you know, the whole thing, that thing about money, about creating, you know, at least some people in here got to know half the time when you were in college or university in the best time of your life, yeah? And you're like flat broke, and it didn't matter. It was good because you knew you were broke. Right? And all you could do was to create with what you had. You knew for 3 years, I'm not going to have any money. So you didn't sit around wanting something else. You created with what you had, and that's why it was hilarious. And then you were like cursed with money, and now you want stuff that you never even bothered wanting before. And then you got some of that stuff, and then you got a raise, and you got more money. Now you can want even more stuff, and now you're screwed. Life was so fun. Remember, when there was no about having stuff, right? Then you can actually get what are the things that I create enjoying life with versus how do I have stuff. Okay? All right, I'm going to rip through one more principle, okay, and then I'm going to go do some exercise with people. Okay. I'm going to show you how to practically apply some of this stuff. All right. So, what other aspect is the world of money? So there's this thing that we call the flow of money. It's really the flow of resources, all kinds of resources, and not just money. So I use money as the example for the principle. So money, and one of the pitfalls in this conversation is saying, oh yeah, I already know that. Like I already know, like the conversation of differentiation. That's fine, but if you were masterful in it, you would have so much business flowing through you, you wouldn't know what to do. So knowing it and really applying it really well is two different things. Is that clear? All right. So imagine this is a river of water. Money is like water in that it's flowing infinite. There might be a finite amount, but it's infinite. It's flowing all the time. Okay? Now, one of your pitfalls is that you try to make money, and you don't need to make it. There's already more out there you can possibly ever use. Your job is to find reasons to relocate it. Okay? But I really mean that. I really mean don't try to make it. Work on how it gets relocated to where you want it. Is that clear? Okay. So when we're trying to make money, it's like this. It's like you want to make a swimming pool beside a river. You dig a hole, you run back and forth with a bucket to the hole, and if you feel that you work hard enough, it'll fill up, and if you stop for a second, it starts to sink down. Is that good? Now, that's our life. That's our bank account, right? You stop for a second, it starts to sink down. You got to keep going to sales, keep doing this, keep doing that. And what we teach people to do is you dig a channel from the river to the hole where water flows in, it fills up, and then it flows out, and it's constantly flowing. You get that? That's important where you dig a channel for the outflow, not just the inflow. You're not trying to have it just come in and sit there and stagnate. And if you want to build a bigger business or a house or a swimming pool, you dig it out, and you wait, and it gradually fills up, and it flows out. So creating a flow. So for instance, if you look at, say, Lululemon or Joey's are the ones you're familiar with, you notice there's a very steady flow going in those places? You know, that didn't happen by accident. Is that clear? It's really building a brand for which there's a reason to go there so people keep flowing there versus, you ever notice how little advertising and marketing you see for both of them? You know, it's not like hammering out sales. And by the way, I'm not talking about not doing marketing. It's not just about hammering that through. So there's an entire world of how you, and just imagine this river is flowing, you dig the channel, but the water's still flowing fast. It doesn't automatically come into your channel. You have to create a gate. The thing which, when you put it out there, the thing which, when you put it out there, the thing which, when you put it out there, the thing which, when you put it out there, the thing which, when you put it out there, the thing which, when you put it out there,